And give me a second and we're going to start recording.
It's 8 o'clock straight up. You a bad girl, LaShonda. Good afternoon, Safe Space family. So glad that you all are having the opportunity or taking the time out to join us this evening. Safe Space is a place of encouragement, a place of exchanging ideas, a place of allowing all people to grow, to know ultimately that there's always hope in the Lord Jesus Christ. No matter what is going on in your life, there's hope with him. No matter where you come from, what you've done, how bad you think you are, that is a part of keeping you where you are, thinking that there's not hope. There's always hope in him. Tonight, we have a up-and-coming author. Her name is Shannon L. Joy. Welcome to Safe Space, Shannon.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
I am elated to have you because I love being in on the ground floor of great things. And I know that one day I'm going to be able to say hello, New York Times best-selling author, Shannon L. Joy.
Thank you, ma'am.
Tonight, we're going to delve into Shannon's journey of how she became an author, even though that was not her original plan.
No, it was not.
But this is just another example of how we want to relay to you all here at Safe Space that our plan is not always the best plan. And when you hear that still small voice in your head, that is God, that it is best to surrender and follow his plan. Sometimes, like me, it takes you a little longer to get there because I just had my own ideas about what I should be doing and what my plans were. But by the time I ran my head into the wall the third time, I realized I needed to surrender to his plan. So Shannon, tell us a little bit about yourself, your personal life, your children, your journeys of how you got to where you are now.
Well, I got married probably when I was 23, 24 years old. And I soon realized that I learned after I had my children about being emotionally ready to have children.
Right.
And I realized that I wasn't ready for that. I think it was just something I had a husband and he was there and stuff, but I started learning about relationships and how relationships, how you need to be prepared, how you need to learn how to talk to each other, how to learn how to communicate. I learned those things, and I was always a growing type person. I always wanted to learn, always growing, and I learned that my partner was not that. But I came from my mother and father were married for 29 years, and so I was raised in, we stay together and you try to make it work. And me, I believe we could work it, but I also learned that relationships take two. And it was a long time. I did a lot of coming and going and trying to work with him. But after quite a few years, I realized he wasn't working with me.
Right.
And in the middle of that, I went to counseling.
Self-improvement.
Yeah, well, and let me say this: I went to college. I was in there going to school and working, but I also, in the middle of that, I said, let me go to counseling to see if maybe it'll work. Didn't know that much about counseling, wasn't raised with counseling or anything like that. So I said, let me just go to try. And I went to counseling and I realized, you know what? It's still not going to work.
It takes two to tango.
Yeah, it takes two.
So you obtained your degrees while you were married.
Yes.
And battling through all of this and raising two girls.
Yes. Well, and let me say, I attained my first degree.
Okay.
And while I was married. And then when I got my first degree, I said, I got to go. And I started a divorce, and it was highly stressed is the correct term to use. Highly stressed. It was extremely hard. It took me 2 years to get a divorce because he was fighting me. And he was fighting me. He wanted my children. He wanted the house. He wanted everything. He really wanted me to not have anything. And when I say not have anything, a lot of the things he had because of me. And so anyway, I finally got a divorce, but it was so in the middle of that divorce, I was so stressed because, you know, of the going to court and the toll it was taking on my
I was
children.
going to ask you, how were the girls faring? with
Yeah,
all
the
of that?
girls were it was just so much with the girls. And I'll say this, I am a mama bear. I'm not a helicopter parent. I am a mama bear, and a mama bear means, for me, it means I'm a proactive parent. I believe in a lot of covering my children with a lot of life skills, and that's what I was used to doing. Regardless of my relationship with him,
Absolutely.
I was gonna,
Be a mother.
I need to cover them girls. And being in the middle of that, I was like, I'm losing my girls, and I'm losing valuable time with them. And so anyway, but in the middle of that, he was just being so spiteful to me that one night I can still see myself. I was riding in the car and I was crying because I was going back and forth with him. And the Lord said, write about it. And I said, write about it. I'm thinking, I don't want to write about this, Lord. I says, I want to get through this divorce
and be done.
And I want to be done with this and move on. I have many more things that I want to do. And writing about it is definitely not it. So I had no plans on being a writer at all.
But even way back then, he was trying to nudge you in this direction.
Yeah. And so anyway, I pushed that on the way out of my mind. But that sound, that word kept coming up. And I was like, oh, Lord. And the Lord said, I'm not going to give you peace until you write it. I said,
so you heard that?
I did. And I was bad about it because I'm like, Lord, I don't want to write about this. And so fast forward, I finally got a divorce. Took me almost 2 years. I got a divorce, but in the middle of that, I said my life was chaos. My credit, I was staying with my father, so many things going on. I was like, and the girls were coming up on high school. So I was trying to still prepare them for school. For school life, college. Yeah, college. I was trying to, I need a tissue.
Oh, sure.
And I was trying to prepare them. And in the middle of that, I said, I always found solace in school. I love rules. I love knowing what people expect from me. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to school. And I checked on this master's program. I applied for it. And that's another thing. I never planned on going back to school, never planned on getting a master's. I was like, Lord, just let me get this bachelor's and I'll be all right. But I said, you know what? While everything is shambles, I'm going to apply for school. I applied and I got in. And I was like, look at me, look at me. And I got in and I started, and I just one step at a time. I never knew what was really entailed in getting a master's. I really didn't know. So I started that and started that whole process. And I just started working on credit. I started working on finding a house, trying to make a plan for life after, because
you were rebuilding yourself.
Yeah.
And what I hear in all of that, Shannon, is perseverance. I keep hearing that in the back of my mind, and that you never gave up. Even though you didn't yield to what God was saying, you heard it, which meant you had a relationship with him.
Oh, yeah.
You never detached and you kept pushing forward.
Well, I was still going to church. Because I believe in that. And I believe in modeling for your children. So, even when things look bad, I was still trying to
hold it together.
Yeah.
Things that you could control.
Yeah. And that's me. That's my focus. I believe I'm a focused person, and I focus on what I can do, and the things I can't do, I don't worry about that.
That's
and
right.
And that's how I function. Even today, I focus on what I can do. And before I know it, I just see God just putting all kind of
He
things,
does.
more things together than I ever expected. And so after I started school, then in the middle of that, I got a house. And then I probably got halfway through, still not thinking about that book because I still hear that thing in there.
Right about it.
Yeah. And I say, oh, I'm gonna do that. I'm over here trying to pass school, get through school. I get halfway through the master's program, halfway through there, and I'm like, oh, this is just too much. It's just too much. But I just kept on, and I finally finished that part. But
So you got your master's.
I got my
And
master's.
before getting your master's, you had a house.
Yes, I did. Surprisingly, I did. And so I think in the middle of that, I got a new job, and I ended up going, some said, write that book.
Again.
Yeah. And I was like, Lord, Shannon, just go in there and start it. I start coming home from work. I said, you're going to go and sit down and write this book. And I go in there and I start writing this book, and I'm typing and I'm crying. So I was like, oh, Lord.
This was about the book, that book that you were writing was about your divorce.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
And so the plan for that book was a memoir / self-help type of a book. That was kind of my plan. But I started writing that, and that's been years ago. And I'm just crying. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. And so anyway, I probably came home for 6 months, and I put a lot together. But I met an editor, and I just kept putting it down. So I have yet to finish that book, but it's still there. But I feel like it's finished. But
are you ready? Are you ready to deal with it? Because it sounds like it was cathartic for you. However, you know how my grandfather used to tell me this, and I don't remember the book of the Bible that it's in, but it is biblical.
Mm-hmm.
It speaks of waiting at an appointed time.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to tell me all the time, sweetheart, when I was going through my life lessons and everything, he would say, at all appointed time shall I wait, sweetie.
Mm-hmm.
You have to wait until the appointed time of God. It's almost like we're traveling down the road of life, the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And these pit stops are here for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we just have to get to that spot. Because so often, I know I do, I want to get there before I get there.
Oh, yeah.
Which means I'm not ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I would possibly mess something up.
Mm-hmm.
Not possibly, I would mess something up.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to get there in his time for me.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think?
I do think I started, my plan is I started looking and reading the book earlier this year, and I wasn't crying.
Okay.
I wasn't crying. So I say, I think
You're getting there.
I'm getting there. But in the middle of all of that, about 2 years ago, let me say this. So about 5 years ago, I started fostering, being a foster parent. And let me see, I have 2 daughters.
I was about to say, tell us about the girls
Yeah,
first,
I
where
have
they
2,
are right now,
I have
and
2.
how good you did.
Yes, ma'am. So the girls are 28 and 29 years old. They both are doing well. They both have their own houses now. Sydney went to college. Jordan did not go to college. She has 2 kids, but she is doing beautifully. She has a really good job, and she is taking care of the boys. And I'm proud. I'm a proud grandmama.
You don't look like it.
Yeah. But the girls are doing very well, and in spite of all that they went through, we went through to get here. They're doing a great job.
So does Sydney have children?
No, Sydney does not have any
She's
children.
just a single homeowner.
Yeah, that's all she is, and
Okay.
she adores her mother.
Absolutely, that's right. That's right.
And so 5 years ago, I started, really 6. I started fostering.
Now, how did that come about? What made you?
Well, I was kind of in a space where I wasn't in a space where I wanted to be with my employment, and it was taking a long time. So I was like, I could do something else. And I just started, I was like, I can foster, and my goal was to actually foster older children, because I think I'm good with the college prep. That was my goal.
Right.
But the Lord didn't have another plan. So always.
Isn't that always?
He'd be up there laughing at me.
It's us.
Yes. So I started fostering, and Sydney, my youngest daughter, was living with me at the time. And she says to me, Mom, I think I had some older children. And she says, Mom, I think you should get younger kids. And I was like, oh, I don't know how to change diapers. I barely change yours, And,
right. And it's been so long.
Yeah. And so anyway, fast forward, I ended up getting a little boy, and he was 4 months old, and they told me I would have him for 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, I can do that. And through a whole bunch of things, his mother never could get it together. And 2 weeks turned into a month, and a month turned into 6 months. And then it went to a year.
And then he was your baby.
Yeah, he is. He ended up after 5 years. Because after 6 months, after a year, I was like, this is my baby.
I was about to say the attachment.
Yeah, I was like, this is my baby. And he just blended right into our family. I feel like I call him my Moses. I call him my bonus baby. He is mine. I was able to finally adopt him last year.
Amen.
And
Congratulations.
Thank you, but he was not in my plan. I'm like,
I can imagine that. Your baby's 28?
Yes.
But now your baby's 5.
Yeah. He's 6. He just turned 6. But he is one of the joys of my life. I feel like he came straight from the Lord. He came straight from the Lord. He was the Lord's plan for me. And people see us together, and they cannot believe he doesn't belong to me.
Well, I was about to tell you, the picture that you sent me today, I saw a resemblance, and I was going to tell you that because he really could biologically be yours.
Yes.
I've only seen one of your girls. I'm not sure which one I saw.
The youngest one.
But he blends very well as far as his features and his appearance.
Yeah. So he is. He's my baby. I believe that it was the Lord knew that I didn't have a son, and he said, I'm gonna get you one. And he sent them straight to me. So he is so funny. He is I feel like he's a future comedian or something like that.
He's very witty. I don't know if comedians are very witty and bright. I don't know if he's gonna do that, but I believe he could go in the legal field, because those cases that he builds with you that I hear about to get his way, his analytical thinking at 5 and now 6 years old, it's just.
Yeah, it's amazing to me too. But talking about him, I was reading to him about 2 years ago, and it was a little book about time. And I said, this is a raggedy little book.
You weren't impressed?
I was not. And I said, you know what?
I can do better.
I can do this. And I started writing a book about time. And it just started evolving about things that were my passion.
So it's just flowing out.
Yeah, it was just flowing out. And I said, see, Lord, what's it right again? I'm like, I didn't want to be a writer. And so I started writing about my passions, which I have a lot of. But one of my passions is children.
Right.
And when I say children, more so, I love for them to learn life skills. I want them to be more than their schoolwork. I want them to learn a lot of home training, because that's the way I was raised, a lot of home training.
A lot of people of our generation, and I'm afraid that we're losing it.
Yes.
We're raised to think analytically, to think critically, to be able to deduce. You could give us a couple pieces of information and we could come up with the answer because we deduce, we put it together. That type of thinking doesn't seem to be taught
Yes.
a lot anymore. And I don't want to generalize, but I just see a difference in each generation.
Yes.
And the word speaks of that they would be born weaker and wiser. And I didn't understand that, but I'm beginning to see they're wiser by way of technology because they're born with a device in their hand. They're wiser by handling things that we were not born in our hand. But you can give a child now some change and they can't subtract to count it without a device. You ask them to think through an analytical problem. You remember back in the day, we used to have those word problems.
Yes.
And it taught us critical and analytical thinking. And we had to deduce and come up with the answer. They can't do that. And because they have less one-on-one human communication, we ran outside, we rode bikes, we played, we developed our people skills. They're stuck with a device or behind some keyboard or something. And I really think with the evolving of technology, it is great in its place. And it has made our lives a lot easier in many ways. But I think it's become a babysitter.
Yes.
And it's crippled the children not to have values, as what my mama used to say, it manners, relationships, yes. People skills, critical thinking ability, analytical ability. It's really kind of frightening because in my opinion, those things are very much so needed.
And so that became the birth of the book.
I bet I was going to pick it up. I bet Cash, because of the way you treat him, he may be a little different than most kids in his class. This is the book.
So this book I did.
It's time to do what?
I was able to publish it, self-publish in January, and it is two things. It is a children's book, but it is also a parenting tool. And the parenting tool, it is to help spark conversation between parent and child. And as they grow, to help parents, young parents today, some of the things that I see, they don't really know how to communicate with their children, but also the children's book, it helps to teach daily life skills. Because for me, when I was raising my girls, I had to tell them 100 times to brush their teeth. I had to tell them 100 times.
I think that's typical though, until the kids get it down and realize the importance of it. They come here knowing nothing. They're a plain slate, and it's up to us to color it in. And this book gives a day's journey, a day in the life of a little boy that runs into different scenarios and situations. And it gives the ability for their parents to step in and do the instruction.
Yes. But so, and it also, a lot of the illustrations in here are examples of my life. They're not specifically of me, but they are, a Black woman, who similarly looks like me.
The kids
look like my children. Particularly the girl looks like my daughter. I gave my illustrator a picture of what my daughter looks like. But this is, this is what I love. I have 30 positive words in the back. One positive word a day that a parent could share, talk, speak to their child. And also I have discussion prompts in here where what else can you do for your family time, to give them chances to speak and talk with their children, to come up with different ideas. And so this is my latest first work. It kind of was in the middle of what I should be working on. So,
but you brought it to life.
Yeah, I did.
And that's the important thing. And you have to be proud of yourself.
I am.
Because I'm proud of you. This is not something that a lot of people can accomplish, Shannon. I have a friend that I have been encouraging to write a book for years. She's gone and got her real estate license and done a whole lot of things, but I can't get her to write her
It's hard. It takes time to sit down and actually.
And I think a lot of what she has to write about, she doesn't. It's kind of painful. and so on. So I guess she has to get to that place on the highway. But she's accomplished a lot of things because I went to real estate state school and hadn't taken the test yet. So I need to just concentrate on me.
Focus.
But I'm just so proud of you because it's a great literary work. I mean, it really is. Give them your information regarding how to reach you, where they can get you to come out to churches, church bookstores, or anywhere else that you are open to going to doing book signings and personal appearances.
Yes, I am available. You can reach me on Instagram at sjoyloves. You can reach me there. I'm always online. My email address is sjoy0705@gmail. You can reach me there for book signings, children's classes. And I also do a lot of pop-ups around Atlanta. I have one in June I'll be downtown Powder Springs at the market. That'll be June 1st between 6 and 9. I'll be there. I also have a children's book festival that I'll be a part of. That is June 22nd. It's sponsored by Happy Black Parent. It's over in the Pittsburgh Yards in Atlanta. I'll be there from noon till 4, and I'll be doing a reading and a signing. But I'm also available, for private events. Trying to think, do I have anything else?
But you'd be a great addition to really any event that people are giving. Like, are you open to trade shows?
Yes. Shelby, I'm actually surprised. I go to all kinds of events, and I didn't think that I would sell a book, but I have the book there, and I always sell one. So I'm surprised all the time if I share about it.
Is your book online on Amazon?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it is available online on Amazon. Just look up my name, Shannon L. Joy, and click on me. Follow me on Amazon as an author. And anything else, Shelby?
Well, you've said a whole lot. And when Safe Space was being pressed on the back of my neck, I remember standing in my kitchen talking to my friend Gwen, and I said, Gwen, I really don't have the courage. This is not something I really want to do. And God just he kept bringing people to me. It's like, I really feel comfortable with you. And they would tell me things. And finally, the straw that broke the camel's back is I was at church one night in a women's event, and it was a panel of women speaking, and I was one of them. And the young lady that was recording my shows originally and editing them came to me afterwards, and she says, there's something about you. I want to get to know you. And I'm going, me? And fast forward 2 months later, we finally went to dinner, and I was talking to her about her interest, and she told me she had a production company. And I told her, I said, God has really been nudging me. And I told her, of course, it didn't have a name. This was in December of 21. She called me back and she said, well, I'm going to record your first show. And I was like, no, that's okay. She's like, no, otherwise you're not going to do it. So she bugged me until March of 22. So we did our first recording with actually the young lady that goes to my church. It's her cousin, and I didn't know it at the time. She was suffering in front of us with debilitating anxiety. And we've done topics like that, as well as a friend of mine that daughter was murdered by her boyfriend and dismembered. And she has one of the children raising them, and how she made it through. What I try to do here is for it to be just what it says, a safe space for people to be able to tell their stories of victory, because you're victorious. You went through a tumultuous time in your life that could have destroyed you and your children. They grew up to be productive, independent, successful young women. And then you went back for round 2 and got you a male child in your young 50s.
I know, right?
With a 6-year-old that you look like you never, when I see you with him bouncing up and down the sidewalks, you never seem tired. You just seem like a young mama.
I guess I think that God just gives me the strength to do what it
He
is.
graced you for it.
Yeah. So
And I can attest to that, taking care of my mom, which
Mhm.
you told me you were the person that helped her out there that day. I never knew who it was.
Yeah.
Because when I look back on all the things that I had to do regarding her,
Mhm.
and it was only me,
Mhm.
I know it was God that graced me.
Yeah.
And a year after she passed, I was sitting right in here and I asked him,
Mhm.
how? Now that's really crazy if you think about it. You've already done it. But when you look at it in retrospect, you wonder how you did it. And he said to me, it's clear as I'm talking to you, like that voice that told you right about it. He said to me, I graced you. My grace was sufficient.
Yeah.
So he graced you for cash.
Yeah.
And so you will be fine and live to see his children, and be youthful and fine and write more books.
Yeah, I am working on it. It's so funny. I have more books inside of me. And like I say, I'm like, I didn't never really want this.
But it was what the gift he gave you.
Yeah. So one of the other books is not just the one about, the memoir / self-help, the other one is about a lot of the things I learned raising my children. That is the book that I feel like that's a parenting book also, but that's, I'm like, I can't get it out. I gotta
But do you feel like when you're writing, do you feel like you're just full and it's just bubbling and oozing out? Does it just flow like that? That's another thing that lets you know that it's a God-given talent. And who knows, you may be a full-time author one day.
Yeah.
You never know.
Well, I do a lot of reading, and what I have learned over the years, from reading, I've read about people who feel like I have felt, they felt like they were not writers, were not going to ever get finished. And through a whole lot of circumstances, before they know it, they're an author. So I've just, learned from that. I've learned from that, and plus I know I'd be laughing at me anyway. So,
well, you know what, Shannon, what I want people to take away from your story, outside of the fact that you're victorious of where you are now, but through your journey of hardship, you never gave up. So that's perseverance. You didn't bother with the things that you couldn't control. You dealt with the things that you could, and you were constantly pushing forward, trying to make Shannon better.
Yeah.
Whether it was through counseling, whether it was through education, whether it was pushing through to try something new, like writing. Because so often we endeavor into things that we know absolutely nothing about, but that's all God asked of us, to trust him and to step out. And then he does the rest. And the manifestation is this.
Yes. And Shelby, while I was going through, when I was in my marriage, one of the things that helped me is reading. I stayed at the library. I was always reading. And then when I was in school, I was always learning something. And for me, when I see people struggling in their spaces, whatever it is, and I'm like, if they could only just, find something outside of themselves, and, so reading, that helped me to understand where I was and kind of put one thing in front of the other slowly. And honestly, I was doing so much at one time, whether it was raising the girls, whether it was reading. I was sharing a lot of my readings and what I learned with my children. So that was making them stronger, because I was like, I want y'all to know a lot of the things that I did not know. But in the middle of that, things just started blooming. God just started giving me more. He gave me people to help me, people to, open doors for me, whether it be with a new job, whether it be with, how to pass a class.
But you had prepared yourself.
Yeah, to be
You
able
weren't
to
just sitting, stewing in self-pity.
Yeah.
You were up, working, trying to move yourself forward. So when the opportunities came, you were ready. You could just walk through the door. And so often the enemy, we're doing a study, some friends and I are on a book called Fervent by Priscilla Shire. And we've done 2 shows on it because I think the information is so vital about how we place the things that happen to us on a person. Like you could have just been constantly obsessed with what your ex-husband was or were not doing.
Yeah.
Because he was in his place.
Yes.
You would have had and worked on Shannon.
Yeah, that's all
To
I can
have your, but no, it wasn't all you could do. You could have been caught up, focused on that in anger, in self-pity. Why did my marriage work? On and on and on. But you chose to operate in a place of positive action, positive thinking. And I'm sure it wasn't easy all the time.
No.
It had to be hard, dealing with the realization of what you were truly in. But because you chose that and you didn't get caught up in self-pity and all the things that Satan will put in our minds, you pushed through it. And we have to find the strength and have the faith to push through all the tricks. I was rereading a part of Fervent last night, just to reiterate the things that she tells us, the tricks to watch, because basically most of what we go through, whether a person is being used or not, is all orchestrated by Satan. And because we can't see him doesn't mean he's not acting. That's just, we can't see God. Doesn't mean he's not acting. So if you're of the mindset that this is truly, what you believe in, that it can happen, you chose to operate on the side of Jesus.
Yes.
And you did only what you could do, and you trusted him to do the rest. And I keep hearing you say, God would just show up and he would just do this and he would bring people and he would open doors. But you had the eye to see.
Yeah. I mean, it was amazing. Like I say, when I would be going to school and I needed someone to watch the kids, or I had friends, he would be at work and he wasn't trying to be a part of it. Yeah. So, I had said, can you get the kids and hold the kids, until I get out of class? Or some days I had no reason, nowhere to take them. So I took them with me and they'd sit in the hallway, or they would go in and I put them in a classroom, and I'd be down the hall or something like that. So that's, I'm like, oh God, nobody ever caught me doing that, so.
But that protection, he hedged you to get through safely. I have chills right now, for real. Because I'm so glad that I've grown to the point that I can see him like that and have the ability to appreciate the small things he does to create a path of safety for you to get through your hard times. And those times when there's no one around to help you, he will shield you, hide you. Reminds me of David, King David, when he was in exile, running from, I think it's King Saul, when he was hunting him down, wanted to kill him. And I read about it. I'm trying to remember the book, but I just read about it recently. He was in exile for 20 years, and he talked about how God held them in the side of a cave when they were being hunted down to be killed, and how he provided water and shelter and hiding for them in the time that they most needed it. But he had the eye to see that. And you just said it again. You've been saying it all night long.
Well, I'm always, like I say, I'm always try to be in my word, even when things look bad, I just try. I've learned to just pray in those just what is it when they say constant prayer? Never ceasing prayer. Because I'm telling you, it's just so many things out here to get them. I mean, I remember times when the girls were little, and like I said, the marriage, I knew it wasn't gonna work. And you know what? I'd go in their rooms, I would pray over them, and I say, Lord, just cover them and cover them at school. And I says, please cover, making sure that their minds, nothing gets their mind, all the craziness.
That's
out
where
in
it
their mind.
begins.
Yes, and those were my things for the girls. I prayed for them to go further and do more than I would do at a much younger age. And so I sit back now and I just laugh.
So at 28, 29, you weren't doing what they're doing.
Yes. So it's just amazing. I just laugh because at God being at work. That's what I laugh about. I said, look at here. I was worried about so many different things. And, I just asked them, and I didn't know what it was going to look like when it came. And now I'm
Or
just
how it was going to come.
I didn't know. So that is, I'm just thankful for a lot of things, and I'm excited about the book. The book is it's growing,
Mm-hmm.
and
it's a great book. I bought one for my little Amber, and you signed it for her when she was here that weekend, and we read it. So it's a great piece of parental instruction. As she has said, it opens the door for conversation. It has areas in here for interaction from your children to help further illustrate and reiterate the message that you're trying to get across to them. So she kind of covered everything and thought about everything in the day in the life of a child. And she gives them the ability to use their analytical thinking, their critical thinking, to build and develop values that you want to instill in your children. So if you have a problem as a parent approaching those areas or missing those opportunities in day to day, because we all get fast living. We're trying to get them out to school. We're trying to feed them. We're trying to pick them up. We're trying to get to work. So we may miss opportunities to have those conversations. When you sit down at the end of the night, this book provides those opportunities for you to have those conversations with illustrations, with exercises to help reiterate the message that you're trying to get across to your children. It's so important because we do the molding. They come here a clean slate, clean canvas. No child comes here having any prejudice, any ill intent, anything. They, as Shannon alluded to tonight, model us. Yes. It's not so much what we say, they watch what we do. And this is a blueprint to start showing them and helping us as well to do what it is we want them to do.
Yes.
Anything else?
I think we covered it.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell them a little bit more about you.
Okay.
You are a single mom again. You are an author. You have a very good day job. You have another business. So, and she owns other properties outside of her primary residence. The girl has it going on. God has shown up and showed out in her life. Now, since you forgot all of that.
You forget about her.
I'm saying, take it in stride. You're very humble. Yeah. But tonight, we're not bragging on you. We're bragging on our daddy.
Yes, very much so.
Because he bought you from a mighty long
very much so.
way.
Very much so. Well, I guess.
And you take care of your dad with the help of your sister.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's a whole chore too. But that is my dad. That's my daddy, and that's why I do what I do for my daddy. You know how they say you do what you do for your daddy, but I'm gonna do for that what I do for mine.
That's right.
Anyway, my dad is 73 years old. He has early dementia, but he is still fully functional and gives us a run for our money every day. But
I love the stories.
Yeah, and honestly, my dad, I guess he has. We've been so close, all of my life, but I've learned from him, he's always been one of the funniest men I know. So that I get a lot of my
your comedic.
My comedic stuff from him because he's such a jokester. And but anyway, one of my streams of income that I'm always amazed at is my real estate. I love my dad was a builder. And I love fixing up houses. I love real estate. I always say I'm in the middle of when I first moved to Atlanta, I got a job at Equifax, but my mom was really good with credit. So I learned how to do that at a young age. My grandmother was always very much saying, protect your credit. Word is your bond, pay your bills. And so I got that from them. But as I grew, I was good at real estate. I was good at, knowing what needs to be done as far as housing. And so after I bought my house, my daughter graduated from high school. She went to Spelman. And she needed a place to stay. And I don't believe my parents had real estate when I was growing up. And so I kind of learned from them, but she wanted to stay on campus. I couldn't afford for her to stay on campus. And I said, baby, you're going to have to stay at home with me, and I'll try to find you a house down there. And that's the only thing I could do. It took me a year and a half, but I found the property for like $50,000. And I wanted something, I wanted something that I didn't have to start from scratch. And I looked up on this property, and it was not in the best neighborhood, but it was prior to all of the growth that was
gentrification that's going on down there now.
Yeah. And everybody had something to say. Why would you buy a property down there? But I said, I got to get something for my daughter. And anyway, I closed on that property. And me and her, we worked on that property day and night trying to get it up, but I got it up. And in the middle of that, I said, it was a 2-bedroom. And I said, maybe we could get a roommate. And before I knew it, we had a roommate that was paying majority of the mortgage. I said, look at God.
There he is.
So, and anyway, she stayed there. She finished college, and probably a day after she graduated from college, she got a job with FEMA. And when she finished, I said, you know what? FEMA, she was going to be traveling. I said, you might as well come home. And I turned out to be able to rent that property for double the mortgage. So you
gained a ton of equity because now that area has changed.
Oh my God, that property has, it's been 7 years now, and that property has probably almost tripled in value.
Easily.
And so that is another testimony that, I cannot believe it. So that's one.
He said he'll give you more than you could ever ask for, dream for,
that's why
or imagine.
I just sit back some days and I just cannot believe it. And so during the pandemic, another thing is my other business is a cannabis business. I started that during the pandemic. I was fortunate enough to be able to stay at home during the pandemic and work. And I've always been more on the holistic side. I've been, I was so protective. The girls had to take whole food vitamins. They had to do a whole bunch of.
I know what holistic medicine can do. And I am walking and healing because of holistic medicine from Crohn's disease.
Yeah.
And I've been in remission since 2004.
Wow.
So it works.
Yeah. And so I was always, making sure the girls had, eating healthy, taking vitamins. And so I've been on that vitamin type of journey for a long time. But during the pandemic, I went to a health food store, and I was, like I say, fortunate enough to stay at home. And I had been looking at these CBD type of bath bombs and stuff like that. And I started researching it. I bought one, and I was like, I can use this stuff now. And through a whole lot of things, I said, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I used to sell, let me go back a little bit.
That's your quote.
Yeah.
I can do this.
That's what you said about the book. Yeah, I know. was so funny. Let me go back a little bit. I used to sell hair vitamins, and because I'm really good with hair. I used to sell hair vitamins, and I started selling hair vitamins because I wanted to get a discount on my hair vitamins. But in the middle of that, I didn't know that they were going to put me out there as a wholesaler. And before I knew it, I was selling more vitamins than I ever planned. And so, but anyway, they cut me off because they said, because I didn't have a store, I could not sell the vitamins anymore. So anyway, I said, okay, so I was out of business with that. But when I saw and learned that I could have my own label, I said, I can do this. If I can sell their stuff,
You can definitely sell your own.
definitely sell my stuff. And so I began a whole year's journey of finding what products sell as far as CBD, and I'm health and wellness based. And before I knew it, Joy's Pottery was born.
Give them that information.
Joy'sPotteryCBD.com was born, and it's 3 years old now, and it's doing pretty good. I am growing every day. That is another one of the pop-ups that I am around town. And as far as Instagram, Joy's Pottery CBD on Instagram, I am there. I'm always online, so you can send me a DM me there. But yeah, so I am more health and wellness based. The biggest sellers are if you have anxiety, sleep issues, or pain, those are my target areas that I focus on. I have salves, creams, and edibles. So those are the most popular sellers. I sell other things too, but those are the most popular sellers that I have. So
What I tell y'all, she's not just an author. That's just the last notch on the belt. And I believe that there'll probably be other things that she will come into and she'll say, I can do that. It was a joy to have you here tonight, Shannon. And again, I want the message that you have given tonight through your own life story and testimony is to persevere.
yes.
To have hope in the Lord,
Yes.
to control those things and focus on those things that are positive that you can control. The other things, God got it. And ask him to give you the strength to keep moving forward. Because I've been through rough times in life. I know I've been through divorce. I would think my divorce, my illness, and taking care of my mom through her illness were probably the 3 roughest times in my life outside of the deaths of my parents and my grandparents.
Yes.
Those 3 things would come along with definitely the top 6 things. Those are not easy cycles for most people. And I know that God's grace is what brought me through. I had to thank him early this morning. You know, you're talking about praying without ceasing. I have a little undertone of prayer going on all the time.
Yes.
That I'm thinking about. Just I never understood what prayer without ceasing meant, but I get it now.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm talking to him all day long, all day.
It's amazing to me the things you learn. It's a lot of things I learned as we move in life. I used to hear
That's right.
equally yoked.
You didn't understand what that meant.
I didn't
but
know
after that divorce, you understood.
What does that mean?
I get it now.
I get it now.
But my grandmother used to tell me, baby, you'll understand by and by.
No.
I get that now too.
And you know the fruits of the spirit.
I understand
my
that.
gosh. I used to like long suffering. Why in the world
Would someone want to?
What in the world does that mean? So I get so many things.
In the armor of God. I didn't get that. There's just like you said.
And I'm gonna say one more thing before I forget. I remember, and I got this from a book that's not the Bible, but I got it. And it was about the blood. I was like, washed in the blood. Right. You know, when I was young, I was like, what does that mean? Washed in the blood, it's red and all this stuff, you know, you didn't make a mess and all this stuff. But I learned.
You understand now?
I want just a drop. I want a drop.
That's all you need.
I'm telling you.
All you need.
So yeah, that's what I'm like, Lord, I just want a drop of blood. And but anyway, yeah, I got that from another book. It's the blood, my soul to keep.
Mhm.
And I learned about the blood from there. And it is not a spiritual book, but
there are things that this one that we're reading, it is a spiritual book about, it's called a strategic plan for women to pray. But what she's teaching in there is universal to everyone.
Mhm.
She focus, how he attacks your focus, your purpose, your
Yes.
identity, your family, how he causes you to fear, all of those things to get you off track from getting to this.
Yeah.
Which is your purpose.
Yeah.
Because I believe he designed you innately to be an author. No matter how long you ran.
I know.
He told you in your 20s to write about it. And you were like, what? So, you know, it keeps us, but better to yield and surrender.
Oh, yes.
Than to never do it. Because I truly believe there are people in this life that never surrender, they live and die.
Well, you know what I think, the living in that never surrendering thing, I think that is because of fear.
Could be.
I think a lot of that is fear. And I think fear, that's a piece of the name of the first book that I haven't written yet, and it's called Fear, Shame, and Denial. But it's a piece of that. And we don't deal with those. If you don't deal with them, they overtake your life.
And I believe that, but they don't, but see, everything that God brings you through, that's why we have to be cognizant and have the eyes to see. Open my, it's a simple prayer, open my eyes that I may see. I looked at that scripture this morning, and the first lady of my church is one of the people that I'm doing this book study with. She was talking about that's one of the first prayers when she was a babe in Christ that her spiritual mama taught her to say. Just open my eyes that I can see with my spiritual eyes.
Yes.
Is basically what it's saying. Because I think it was Elijah that did the prayer because he was up against an army that there was no way he could beat. But his servant was nervous and scared. And so he prayed for him and said, open his eyes so he may see. So when he looked back out there and saw all of those chariots and that army that they couldn't beat, he looked beyond them and saw the angels that was surrounding those chariots. See, I really got to shouting up in here because that gave me chills. Because see, when I think about all the battles I've gone in my life, and I thought nobody was standing there but me. That was not the case. And I remember my spiritual mama telling me, she was, and I didn't understand this prayer, and this was in my 40s. She would say, baby, I pray for you. And I pray hedges of protections around your house. And I pray for angels with swinging bows of fire to be stationed around your house. And I was like, I get it now, Mama.
Yeah, now you praying for some for that.
I get it. And she came in one day and she told me, I saw them today, baby. I saw them. And I was like, well, I ain't seen them, but I'm glad you saw them. Because I believe that you believe, so I believe. But I still didn't have the understanding that I have today. And we're always a work in progress. And I want to be until I wake up to see Jesus. I want to always be learning. I want to always get, so I'm so thankful for where I am now. But I don't want to be here 2 years from now. I want to be further. And I'm just so thankful that I have the understanding of what she was talking about and all the other things that we talked about tonight that I've come into the realization of. But Shannon, give them the information about your book again.
Okay. My book is available on Amazon, first of all. And second of all, if when you go on there, follow me. You can follow the author. Also, if you'd like an autographed copy, you can DM me and we can chat about it. And
your website?
My website, joyspotterycbd.com. And
is there a different one for the book?
No, I don't. You
just have the same one.
It's on Amazon, but you can also, I have signed copies, or I can sign a copy, and email address is sjoy0705@gmail.com. And my Instagram is sjoyloves on Instagram. I'm available there.
Okay. I am so thankful that you came by to give us this time and this testimony and this victorious journey of yours, and it's not over.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so you keep us posted when you start climbing on the bestsellers. Then you have to come back and tell us about that experience.
Yeah.
And when you release your next book, please come back and let us hear about it here at Safe Space. Of course, I am on YouTube at Safe Space with Shelby Arrington. Please subscribe and follow. If this message blesses you in any way about perseverance, about keeping the faith, about coming through rough times, hope in the Lord is what I want everyone that sees any Safe Space episode to understand and know. There is hope in God. I'm not saying you got to go to church every Sunday, which he does want us together. He wants us to come together. He wants us to worship. But start where you are, just where you are. No Christian, no saint is perfect. None of us has ever gotten it right. Don't believe the condemnation that you're hearing in your head. Don't believe you can never get it together, because with God's help, you can always get it together. You can start and start and start over and over again. The word of God tells us that a just man falls 7 times.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that literally 7? I don't know. I have to get the understanding of that. But what I do know is that he will give you a chance over and over again, because we have brand new graces and mercies every day, new ones, because he knew that we would fall short and that he did not want to lose us. We do not have to operate in condemnation. We do not live under the judgment of what was done before Jesus Christ came and died. His blood gave us a brand new chance each and every day. And I'm so thankful for it, because I don't know about you, but I need it because I mess up. So please just start to talk to him. It's nothing special about developing a relationship with Jesus Christ. Just talk to him. Get in a still place, get quiet, and I promise you, you'll begin to see him. Say this simple prayer: God, open my eyes that I may see. And we're talking about your spiritual eyes. You'll start to see himself show up in your life, and then you'll grow from there. Spend time in the word. Pick up a New Living Translation, because I don't know about you all. King James, when I was a babe in Christ, I didn't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And it intimidated me. Pick up Google it, NIV version. It's plain layman's terms. And before you do it, ask him to show you revelation. Ask him to take you to the book you need to go to for him, because he wants to communicate with you. He will speak to you through people. Pick your friends, pick your company, those that have an ear to hear from God. And I promise you, your life will never be the same again, even in your worst days, because he's always a half glass full, not empty. You guys, you can also find me on Facebook with Shelby Arrington. You can contact Shannon through me. You can DM me on my Facebook, or also go to my website. It is Hope, HOPEAT, SAFESPACE, hope at safespace.com. You can send a message through that. I will get it to Shannon. Any information also on the advertisement for the show, her information is on the bottom. I know it's on Facebook. It may be on YouTube, but her information is at the bottom of the page. Her email address of how to reach her for the book, how to contact her for book signings at churches, bookstores, pop-ups, women's gatherings,
Yes.
even. There's all tons of women's gatherings and conferences, because we are going together, girls. We're going to come together. And I like that about us. But thank you all so much for joining us tonight here at Safe Space. We'll be seeing you 2 weeks from this Wednesday night. We moved the show tonight because of scheduling with Shannon and mostly myself. However, we're normally on Wednesday, the second and the fourth Wednesday of every month. Second and the fourth Wednesday of every month. So we look forward to seeing you 2 weeks from this Wednesday night. We'll be back on again with another encouraging message, letting you know there's always hope in Jesus Christ. Thank you all for joining us here at Safe Space, and thank you for listening. Have a wonderful evening. You too. And we were on an hour.
Really? Gracious. You have a lot. We did pretty good.